Galvax wasn't the best at comforting people. Maxxie was just told that she was going to die and was sobbing into Galvax's chest, and he had no idea what to do.
I don't want to die, Galvax. I don't want to die.
Jayrlevi had been gone for hours now. Maxxie had been sobbing uncontrollably, and Galvax was at his wit's end. Any minute now, Maxxie could drop dead. Any minute now, Galvax could lose a new friend just as fast as he made her.
What do we do, Galvax? Barton isn't just going to give my heart back.
I know this, Maxxie. It's quite obvious.
So, what do we do? I don't want to die. I don't
Maxxie, would you shut up? I need to think.
Maxxie looked up at him with big, shocked eyes. Galvax exhaled in remorse.
I'm sorry. I'm not the best under stressful situations.
That's evident.
Listen, you stay here. I'm going to go look around for Barton and get your heart back.
No, you can't. There are traps rigged around all over this place, and I know it a whole hell of a lot better than you do. If you're going to find Barton, I'm coming with you.
Galvax sighed deeply. This was more trouble than he wanted to deal with. But unfortunately, Maxxie was right. She knew the area better than he did, but he didn't want her to be a burden, although upon further thought, he was her burden.
Alright, fine, but I'm going first.
Maxxie smiled and wiped her wet face clean.
Fair enough, but we need a game plan.
A game plan for what?
Well, what if we run into Deverin before we find Barton? What happens then?
Galvax scoffed. He'd fought countless enemies in the past, some of them bigger than a 3-story building, and those were all before he even turned 20.
I can fight anyone. I can take on Deverin. I think I'll be able to handle him. I've fought enough to know how to beat an opponent I know nothing about.
No, you don't.
Galvax raised his eyebrows in surprise.
Excuse me?
He didn't like being told his fighting skills weren't good enough. They were always good enough. He always made sure they were.
I said, no, you don't. You don't know how Deverin works, and you certainly don't know how he fights. If we encounter him, I will be the one to confront him, and you will be the one to stand back.
Galvax didn't know what to say. She was talking like his mother. He didn't like that, but it felt compelling to agree because of it.
Yeah, sure. But I'm still going first.
Again, fair enough. Out the door and to the left is a long stone hallway. The end of the hallway is blocked off, and the only way to open it is to get past all the traps, then step on the stone pedestal at the end of the hallway.
Okay. And where will these traps be once I'm out of the room?
I'll tell you in advance. You can trust me. I promise.
Galvax didn't like that. He could hear the fear in her voice. That meant she wasn't focused. Was he really about to put his life in a scared, 17-year-old girl's tiny hands? He stepped out of the destroyed doorway and heard a click of a mechanism being released. His instincts kicked in and he ducked.
Look out!
Galvax had just barely dodged a pair of axes that came down on him from both sides like a pair of pendulums. He turned around, infuriated at Maxxie.
I thought you said I could trust you!
My life is on the line too, not just yours. So forgive me if I'm a little frightened.
Galvax took another deep breath. He was getting tired of sighing at things like this, but he had to endure it. He had to press on.
Just please try to pay attention the best you can. I'd rather not die today. My mother is missing, and I still have to find her.
Galvax started back down the hallway.
No, she's not.
He stopped and spun back around.
Wait, what do you mean, no she's not?
I mean exactly what I say. When we came to the upper entrance above ground to meet with Deverin, somehow she managed to outwit him and Barton and escaped. She had a letter in hand too, but Deverin took it. The letter had your name on it.
It what?
It had your name written on it. Marlotta fought for it when Dijabel snatched it from her just as she was slipping it into your shirt. She put up a good fight and ended up fleeting by a shining weird light from her hand.
Gidmus Light.
What?
It's called Gidmus Light. It heals anyone who has good intentions. If used on one with bad intentions, depending on how long they look into the light, it can blind them.
Galvax continued down the corridor, indirectly signaling that he no longer wanted to talk about his mother.
Galvax, don't move! Take one more step, and an avalanche of boulders will fall right where you're standing.
Galvax looks down. His foot pulled a tripwire that was mere centimeters from setting off the trap. Galvax moved his foot back to release the wire.
No, don't do that either! You've already set it off by just touching the wire. It'll activate either way, no matter which way you move.
Maxxie walked past Galvax, carefully avoiding the wire and a few other ones next to the first.
When the boulders fall, they'll set off another trap exactly 4 feet behind me.
How is that even fair? I can't wait to see this Dijabel guy dead.
Focus, Galvax. You have to jump forward, but you cannot pass me. Otherwise, you'll be skewered by spikes in the walls, floor, and ceiling.
Should be easy enough.
Galvax bent down and launched himself at Maxxie. He heard the click of a mechanism and the opening of a hatch, followed by what sounded like thunder crashing down from the ceiling. Just as Maxxie predicted, boulders fell to the ground, obliterating the floor underneath it and revealing a pitfall into a lake of lava. Maxxie leaned over the edge of the hole, examining the new addition to the traps.
Oh, that's new.
What the hell do you mean, that's new?
I'm not allowed to know all of these traps, Galvax. I had to find out where the ones I do know are by watching people set them off. From my room, I could see the boulders fall, but I couldn't see the lake of lava underneath it.
So that means we're flying half blind.
Possibly?
Galvax sighed once more. Trusting this girl isn't going to be an option for him anymore.
Let's keep moving.
He took another step forward and a dozen spears soared down in front of him, barely clipping the front of his face. He felt the warm sensation of blood trickle down his cheek and drip on his boots. A second later and the spears retracted, back from whence they came. Galvax couldn't step forward. He was frozen with fright.
What's the matter? Didn't listen to what someone warned you about a minute ago?
She waltzed down the hallway and watched a pedestal rise up. She pushed the button and the wall in front of her ascended into the ceiling. Galvax shook himself of his scared state and followed her through the newly formed hallway. A few minutes had passed and Galvax was on his toes. They hadn't run into another trap since this hallway opened. Maxxie rounded a corner and yelled for Galvax to follow.
I found Barton's room, Galvax! We can get my heart back!
Galvax rounded the corner as well and watched Maxxie open the door, and time seemed to slow down. It wasn't a door to Barton's room. It was a far cry from that. It was a door to an oil-slicked incline that dropped off into a pit of black nothingness with no telling how deep it was. Galvax dove into action. He sprinted for the door and caught it just before it closed. He flung it open and launched himself down the incline, catching Maxxie by the ankle and reaching back for the door and held on tight. He tried pulling Maxxie up before the door closed, but the combined weight of he and Maxxie slammed the door shut on his left hand, crushing the bones inside his palm. He screeched in pain, feeling bones crack and break the skin on the back of his hand. He didn't know what to do. His hand was pinned and Maxxie wasn't being still, making it harder and harder with each passing second to keep his grip on her ankle.
Maxxie, I need you to calm down and stop moving.
She didn't comply. She was sobbing too loudly to hear Galvax speaking. Galvax gathered all of his strength in his right arm and tugged Maxxie up towards the door. Her crying ceased the moment she realized she wasn't falling to her impending doom.
Maxxie, I need you to grab hold of the handle on the door so I can pull myself up. Just climb on my back.
Maxxie did as she was told and climbed up Galvax and caught the door handle.
Galvax, I can fix your hand. I can make it better.
She craned her neck to kiss Galvax's hand.
No, don't. It won't heal right if you do that right now.
Maxxie beat the door in defeat. She tried prying it open at different angles, but nothing was working.
I can't Get the door open! We're stuck.
Shh! Did you hear that?
Muffled voices were coming from the other side of the door.
You saw them come through here? Yeah. This one used to be my room. Citra probably still thought it was a normal door.
Electricity sparked through the door, static dancing all over. 2 pairs of hands wiggled their way through the small crack in the door and pulled it open. Galvax's left hand gave. He and Maxxie quickly started a descent back down when the 2 voices caught them.
You two are lucky Barton doesn't want Maxxie dead.
Her name is Citra.
Sorry. You two are lucky Barton doesn't want Citra to die.
The 2 pulled Galvax and Maxxie to safety. Once on solid ground, Galvax, with his good hand, put Barton in a chokehold. Barton, strangely, didn't resist. Galvax put the odd occurrence to the side and continued with the chokehold.
You will give Maxxie her heart back now!
Or you'll what? Kill me? Have you forgotten that if I die, she dies? You two are doubly lucky I'm giving the heart back.
Galvax's eyes grew wide with doubt. Maxxie broke into thankful tears. She ran to Barton and sobbed into his chest, repeating thank you over and over and over again. Galvax let go of the chokehold.
Why the sudden change of heart? I don't know you very well, but I know enough to understand that a man like you wouldn't act without an ulterior motive.
Barton embraced Maxxie, stroking her head as he spoke.
Citra is the love of my life. I don't want to see her dead. And I don't want to die knowing that she'd be dead too. That's why I've had a change of heart. And my friend, Elektros Ispirka here, is going to perform a quick operation to get the heart back. And it has to be, as I said, a quick one. It'll only be a matter of time before Dejabel finds me.
He pulled Maxxie from his chest and walked to a panel on the wall behind Elektros. He opened it up and grabbed a hold of a giant handle.
This will deactivate all the traps on this level and open up every door that leads to the exit. But first, the surgery. We're doing the surgery here.
What? That can't happen here. It's nowhere near safe enough.
Don't worry, Galvax. This will literally take seconds.
Galvax furrowed his brow and let Elektros go to work. Barton and Maxxie laid down in the corridor on their backs, both topless. Elektros started. It was literally a blur of electric blue movement and the surgery was done. All that was left was a massive scar on both Maxxie and Barton's chests.
That's it?
Yes, that's it. I've got full lightning elemental powers. I can speed up my movement to an infinite amount. Of course, the higher I go, the bigger the consequence, but nonetheless, I can do it.
Maxxie got up and put her shirt on, but froze. She clutched at her chest and breathed out heavily. She toppled forward, seizing into a ball.
What did you do to her?
She's just getting used to having a heartbeat again. Her body hasn't had proper blood flow in over 2 months. She'll be fatigued for at least 3 days.
3 days? We don't have 3 days. I won't allow us to be stuck in here for 3 days.
Galvax knelt down and hoisted Maxxie up onto his back.
Barton, show us the way. I'm getting us out of this hellhole.
This way.
Galvax followed Barton and Elektros. For some odd reason, he was beginning to trust Barton. He did give back Maxxie her heart after all, but that didn't right his wrongs. Galvax never, ever trusted anyone at the drop of a hat, but something told him that if he was going to make it out of there alive, he had to do so. They came to a dead end with nothing to show but a simple crate.
What the hell is this, Barton? I thought you were showing us the way out.
I am. Under this crate leads to the exit.
A giant roar screeched from everyone's right. Galvax quickly put Maxxie down and prepared for battle, but immediately calmed down when he saw that the giant roar came from behind a glass window. He peered inside, amazed at the specimen that lied within. It was inconceivably enormous. It had sharp, needle-like spikes sticking out of its spine, surrounded by a magnificently bright, armor-like fur. Its tail was that of a scorpion, coming to a razor-sharp point. Its head took the form of a lion with a saber-toothed dual canine sticking out of its upper jaw. Its legs looked like they were forged into fire with tempered steel, completely rock-hard with muscle. Galvax knew what this beast was, and it was the most dangerous beast he'd ever seen. He himself almost was slain by a monster such as this. There was something out of place though. The left side of its face was missing an ear and was tremendously bruised up.
How in the world did you guys manage to get a quill cat down here?
Oh, so you've seen one of these before? Then you must know how extremely lethal they are.
Galvax shook his head in fear.
That doesn't answer my question. How did you get it down here?
Barton moved the crate and revealed a ladder going down into another room. He began to climb down.
Simple. Dejabel beat it down here with his fists. That's why there's an ear missing. It wouldn't listen to him. So he tore it off and repeatedly beat it with its own ear until it obeyed him. Dejabel doesn't like it when things don't go his way. He's obsessed with order and can't stand chaos.
Galvax felt his heart jump out of his throat. He didn't know Dejabel had that much power. Suddenly, he doubted his own power and didn't want any part of a fight with the man who beat a quill cat into submission. He picked up Maxxie and nervously descended down the ladder.
It'll be okay, Galvax. You'll be fine, I promise. The Black Rose is upon you.
Thanks, Max.
Since when did you decide to call me that?
Galvax took a second to realize what he just said. Did he just use a nickname on accident?
I don't know. It just kinda slipped out.
Maxxie laughed and winced. Laughing too hard hurt her chest.
Well, I don't mind. Just try not to make me laugh. It hurts at the moment.
Alright guys, this is the final door. Freedom waits.
Galvax followed Barton into the room and sat Maxxie down on the wall closest to the entrance. Time slowed down again. He just had a revelation. He was so caught up in fear that he didn't realize that they weren't going up. The whole entire fortress was underground and they weren't going up. They were going down. He watched Barton light the torches on around the room, one by one revealing a man. The man who beat a quill cat into submission.